All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a 300-hour service on the Z970R. This is Dad's Z970R. It's a 60-inch deck. We already did mine, 72-inch. But what that encompasses is replacing the air filter, changing out the spark plugs, changing the oil. We're going to swap out the blades. We're going to lubricate the deck spindles. And what else are we doing? I think that's pretty much it. We're going to change out the fuel filter as well. All right, so here's some of the equipment that you're going to need. You're going to need a 13mm socket. That's to take this whole section off the back so you can work on the spark plugs. You're going to need SAE 10W30 oil. You're going to need an oil filter. That's AM 107423. You're going to need a 10mm socket and extension and ratchet for the drain plug. You're going to need an oil filter socket, obviously drain tube and oil pan. This is for the fuel filter. You're going to want a pan underneath that as well to catch some of the fuel that spills. For the spark plugs, you're going to need part 7734. These are NGK spark plugs. Again, 7734. You're going to need a 1316 spark plug socket and a ratchet. And then for the blades, I use a breaker bar, adjustable wrench, and either you're going to have to sharpen your old blades or put new blades on. You'll need a grease gun for the deck spindles and the wheels, and then your air filter. All right, to start things off, we're going to take this back cover off here. There's 2 bolts on the right side, right there. Just going to start taking those off, and 2 on this side.
Okay, I usually just crack the dipstick open so it can get some air down through.
And you need a 10mm socket, and an extension helps. I can get you a smaller extension if you need one. All right, we're draining. You do not have to take that out all the way. Now we're moving on to the oil filter.
A little tighter than I can get by hand.
Now you're gonna wanna, this is gonna make a mess when you pull it out. So you're gonna wanna have your oil pan set up to where you can just set the old filter right down in it.
It's good to do this when the engine's pretty warm. The oil runs out much faster.
All right, we got the old filter out, all the old oil out. Now we're lubricating the new filter, and we're gonna put that back on. Again, you use Turf Guard SAE 10W30. This goes on hand tight and then another 3/4 turn. Now you use your 10mm socket again and you close up your drain plug. All right, now we're putting 2 quarts of oil in. SAE 10W30. And you want to go a little slow? All right, now that we have the oil change, we're going to move on to the spark plugs. You have one here, so we'll pull that wire out. And then you have one here, so we'll pull both of those out. You're supposed to unplug your key from the 0 turn as well as you're doing this. As he's taking that off, we will get the new spark plugs here. All right, we're using a 13/16 spark plug socket. We're gonna remove these and replace them with new ones. Again, it's gonna be NGK spark plugs 7734. First one coming out.
Pretty good.
The spark plug gap tool you can pick up for like $5 at either Harbor Freight or Advanced Auto. There's the old one. Here's the new one. We're at 0.3.
Yeah.
0.03. Oil's completely filled up. Spark plugs are changed. Now we're moving on to the fuel filter. This has 2 clips that you'll have to peel back. You'll pull this whole thing out and then you'll put the new one in. You'll want some sort of catch pan underneath here because it'll start spewing out fuel.
Okay.
You can slide that all the way up here if you want.
Yeah. Should have done that from the start. Okay.
Now, the last time we did it, when we unplugged this one here, it didn't leak fuel, but when we did the bottom one, it did. So we're gonna let this drain a little bit. There we go. All right, old one's off. The new one is John Deere part AM 116304. All right, the new fuel filters have an arrow on it showing you which direction it should go. Coming from the gas tank going towards the fuel pump. The arrow is right there. All right, we got that line on. Now we'll get the bottom line. All right, shut her off. Oh, leave it on, leave it on. It wasn't dumping fuel in here, but it started there right before you stopped it. So go ahead, fire up again. Nice, we'll replace this air filter here. So for the 300-hour service, you only have to replace the outer filter. So there's an outer filter and then this inner filter. You can check yours to make sure it's clean, which it is, but it does not call to replace that at this hour mark. And that's going to be John Deere part number M131802. Once you're done with all that stuff, you can put this, what would you call that?
The engine guard.
The engine guard back on. All right, so to take your blades off, you need a 24mm socket and a breaker bar, or if you have an impact, that would probably work too. Get it on here. There we go. the old one off. Put the new one on. There's your fresh blade.
Brand spanking new. The number of the new blades that we're putting on.
All right, you got 5 total spots to lubricate on the forks of the front wheels. So we'll give that a couple pumps. Right sides there. Left sides here. And then each spindle has a spot to lubricate. And with that, our 300-hour service is done. We already filled it out, but we come back over to our service manual, and at the end, we will put that in there. But this is the date that it was completed. Did oil filter change, lubricated, air cleaner, fuel filter, spark plug. That way, if you ever sell it, you have the manual and you have all the hours and dates stamped of when you did work on it. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. We're gonna get these things out and start mowing now that they're fresh. We just popped the old fuel filters out just to see how dirty they are. Mine's on the left, Dad's is on the right. Mine had about 100 more hours on than his. So these filters look a little more heavy duty than what John Deere gave us as a replacement. But all right, that's it. Thanks for watching.